The weight. She carried. Maria Fernandez had not slept through a single night in 11 months. It wasn't insomnia, not exactly. She would fall asleep easily enough, exhausted from the day, but somewhere around 3 in the morning her eyes would open on their own, and the list would begin. The mortgage payment that was 4 days late, her son's grades, which had slipped from B's to D's since his father left, the job she hadn't been promoted into again, because she'd missed too many days caring for her own mother's failing heart, the argument with her sister that neither of them had apologized for, the bills, the bills, the bills. She would lie there in the dark, jaw clenched so tight her molars ached by morning, running through the inventory of everything she had failed to hold together, as if reciting it carefully enough might somehow fix it. By the time the alarm went off at 6, she was already tired in a way that no amount of coffee could touch. Maria worked the early shift at a diner off Route 9, the kind of place with cracked vinyl booths and a bell over the door that hadn't rung true in years. She liked the work, mostly. It asked nothing of her except her hands and her feet, and for 8 hours she didn't have to think about anything except orders and refills and the particular way old Mr. Higgins liked his eggs. It was a Tuesday in late October when the man came in. He wasn't remarkable to look at, maybe 60, gray at the temples, wearing a flannel jacket that had seen better winters. He sat in the corner booth, the one by the window that nobody liked because the heater rattled there, and he ordered black coffee and nothing else. Maria brought the coffee, refilled it twice without being asked, and didn't think much of him until she noticed he was still there 3 hours later, the coffee long gone cold, just looking out the window at the gray parking lot like he was waiting for something. "You need anything else, hon?" she asked, more out of habit than curiosity. "No," he said. Then after a pause, "You look like you're carrying something heavy." Maria laughed, a short, reflexive laugh people give when a stranger says something too true. "Don't we all? Some more than others," he said. "You've got the look of someone who hasn't put it down in a long time." She should have walked away. She'd worked this diner long enough to know how to deflect a customer who wanted to talk more than they wanted to eat. But something about the way he said it, not nosy, not performing concern, just stating a fact the way you'd mention the weather, made her stay an extra second. "It's been a year," she admitted, surprising herself. "Husband left, mom's sick, kids struggling in school, and I can't seem to get ahead of any of it no matter how hard I work." The man nodded slowly, like this confirmed something he already suspected. "Can I tell you something? You don't have to believe it, just hear it." She glanced at the clock. Her break wasn't for 20 minutes, but the diner was quiet, and something in her wanted to hear what he had to say. "There's an old promise," he said, "older than either of us. It goes, 'Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest.'" Maria felt something tighten in her chest. Not offense, but the particular discomfort of hearing a thing she desperately wanted to be true and had long since stopped believing could apply to her. "I've heard that verse," she said carefully. "My grandmother used to say it. I just don't think it's for people like me. I haven't exactly earned rest. I've got a kid who's failing out of school on my watch. A mother I can't take care of the way she deserves. I'm barely keeping the lights on." "That's the part everybody gets backward," the man said, leaning forward slightly. "You think rest is the reward at the end of doing everything right. It's not. It's the invitation at the beginning, before you fixed a single thing. The only qualification is being tired. That's it. You already qualify. You qualified the moment you walked into work this morning." Maria looked down at her hands, chapped from dishwater and cold mornings. "I don't know how to set it down," she said quietly. "I don't even know what it would feel like. It feels like a yoke built for 2 instead of 1. The man said. "You know what a yoke is? The wooden thing for oxen." "Right. A young, weaker animal gets paired in a yoke with a stronger one. Not so the weak one pulls harder, but so the strong one bears the real weight while the other just walks alongside, learning the pace. That's the offer. Not carry your burden with more grit. It's let me carry it, and you walk beside me." Maria felt her eyes sting unexpectedly, and she blinked hard and looked toward the kitchen so he wouldn't see. "I don't know how to believe that's actually for me," she said. "Everyone who's ever told me they'd carry something ended up handing it back eventually." "I know," the man said gently. "That's the tragedy of it. People hand you their own tiredness and call it help. But this isn't a person making you a promise they can't keep. It's not a system you have to maintain on your own once it's given. You just keep coming back to it. Like a kid climbing back into a parent's lap. You don't graduate from it. You just keep returning." The bell over the door rang. A trucker came in, stomping snow off his boots, and Maria's break ended before it began. She topped off the man's coffee one more time and went back to work, weaving between booths, taking orders, refilling sugar caddies, the ordinary architecture of her day reassembling itself around her. When she came back to check on him 20 minutes later, the booth was empty. A $5 bill sat under the coffee mug, far too much for a single cup, and beside it, written on a paper napkin in surprisingly neat handwriting, were the words, "It is already carried." She stood there holding the napkin for a long moment, the diner noise blurring around her, and for the first time in 11 months, she felt her shoulders drop half an inch from where they'd been living, somewhere up near her ears. That night, lying in bed, the 3 a.m. awakening came right on schedule. The list started to assemble itself in the dark, brick by brick. The mortgage, her son's grades, her mother's heart, the argument with her sister, and Maria felt her jaw start its familiar clench. But this time she remembered the napkin, which she'd folded and tucked into her apron pocket, and then, almost without deciding to, into the drawer of her nightstand. It is already carried. She didn't fully believe it. Belief, she was discovering, wasn't a light switch. It wasn't going to flip on all at once just because a stranger in a diner had said something kind. But she said the words anyway, quietly, into the dark of her bedroom, the way you might test the strength of a rope before you trust your whole weight to it. It is already carried. The list didn't disappear. The mortgage was still late. Her son was still struggling. Her mother's heart still beat unevenly in a hospital bed 40 minutes away. Nothing about her circumstances had changed in the space of one sentence, but something in the way she held those circumstances shifted, just slightly. The way a hand that has been clenched into a fist for so long it's forgotten how to do anything else might, for one breath, uncurl. She slept until the alarm. It wasn't a single transformation. Maria wanted to tell people, later, that the stranger's words had fixed everything in one electric moment, the way stories like to claim they hadn't. The weeks after were not easy. Her son brought home another D. Her mother had a bad week in the hospital that scared everyone. The truck that had been making a worrying sound finally died in the diner parking lot, and the repair bill ate the small cushion she'd been building. But she noticed something different in how she carried these things. She caught herself some mornings reaching automatically for the inventory of everything wrong, and then, not always, but more and more, she'd remember the napkin in the drawer, and she'd say the 4 words under her breath before her feet even hit the floor. It is already carried. It wasn't a magic spell that erased the hard mornings. Some days the relief felt obvious, like a physical lightness in her chest. Other days nothing shifted at all, and the old gripping reflex was stronger than the new releasing one. And she had to remind herself that this too was allowed, that the absence of feeling better didn't mean the offer had been withdrawn. What did change slowly was the question she asked herself at 3 in the morning. It used to be, how am I going to fix all of this myself? Now, more often than not, it became, what is actually mine to do today, and what was never mine to carry alone in the first place? The mortgage was hers to manage. She could call about a payment plan, and she did. Her son's grades were hers to walk alongside, not to fix by force. So, instead of yelling, she sat with him one evening and just asked him what was actually going on, and learned for the first time in months that he was struggling because he missed his father and didn't know how to say so. Her mother's heart was not hers to control. No matter how much love she poured into the wishing, that one she had to set down again and again, every single day, sometimes every single hour. She still got tired. She still had hard mornings where the bracing came back before she'd even noticed it happening. But underneath the tiredness now sat something steadier, not the absence of weight, but the sense that she was no longer the only one bearing it. Months later, on a slow Tuesday afternoon, Maria found herself topping off the coffee of a young woman sitting alone in the corner booth, the one by the window with the rattling heater that nobody liked. The woman had dark circles under her eyes, and the particular stillness of someone holding herself together by sheer will, the same stillness Maria recognized because she'd worn it herself for so long. "Rough day?" Maria asked, setting down the coffee pot. The young woman gave a short, tired laugh. "Rough year." Maria hesitated only a second before she pulled a chair from the next table and sat down across from her, against every rule of the job and exactly in line with something she'd been carrying since the day a stranger had pressed a $5 bill and a napkin into her hands. "Can I tell you something?" Maria said. "You don't have to believe it right away. Just hear it." The young woman looked up, wary but listening. "There's an old promise," Maria said, "older than either of us." And she told her, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. For I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light."